Mr. C here. Next step in the advanced woodworking project that you guys have designed is, I was talking about in the last video at the very end, that we have to flatten our veneer so that way our veneer will sit inside the laser flat so we can go ahead and cut all the vectors out properly. If this is not flat, the veneer is not flat, it's not going to cut it out properly and the things aren't going to line up. So what I've done here is I've got one of the cauls, which is a piece of medium density fiberboard with the edges rounded over. I have a top caul and a bottom caul. And essentially, this is what it looks like, and it basically gets sandwiched. The veneer gets sandwiched between these, but we have to put between them paper towel to absorb the water. And we check the paper towel every day, pull out the bad or the soaked and put in new. That way we can keep on taking the moisture out of the veneer, because we're going to saturate the veneer and you're going to see it curl up pretty quick. So I'm going to just set this up to the side here. It is a very simple process here. I have some flattening agent here. This stuff was purchased through a veneer company, but we have made our own. The formula off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is, but it's glycol and glycerin, water, and a little bit of yellow PVA glue mixed together. I don't remember the proportions, but I found that it's just pretty easy just to go out and buy a gallon of it. It's not very expensive, but if you want to do it on your own, there's all kinds of different sources on the internet to give you that formula. Okay, so that being said, I kind of positioned the veneers in layers of how it's going to go on to this piece here. This caul has 2 layers of brown paper towel on it right now. You can see I have a lot of paper towel set over here that's already been cut or fashioned the length that we need for this. So what I want to do is I want to take my veneer and I just want to spray it down. And you have to move relatively quick when you do this, because it's going to want to start to curl and you want to make sure you get the whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece, set this one here, and then now we have our next piece of veneer. Like I said, you're going to want to move quick. Typically, in class, I would have you working with another student doing this. If you have to do this on your own, just remember, have everything with you before you start, because it's going to curl very quickly when you add this moisture to it. Okay? But when we're all done, it's going to be really flat. So I'm going to use the whole width of our cauls essentially here. And then go ahead and place some paper towel over this. I want to make sure it doesn't wrinkle. Two layers should be enough. They overlap just a little bit. Like I said, you want to make sure they're not wrinkled. All right. Now for my next layer. And I'm staggering the seams. Take this around the other side. This is a critical part of the whole process, is if you don't have flattened veneer, it's not going to work out so well for everybody. So, like I said, you want to move relatively quick. pieces. What we'll do, once we have all the pieces with the flattening agent on it, we're going to take this and we're going to put this into a vacuum press. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead with some of our porcelain wet oak. Piece of macrame. Like I said, you want to keep this as flat as possible. Now we're ready for our next layer. Grab another piece of macrame. You don't want this to take more than 10 minutes typically. It'll start curling really fast if you don't. I find that the faster you go, unfortunately, with this process, the better. As you know, I don't encourage you to move real quickly, especially on machines. So when it's something like this, where it has nothing to do with the machine, just a vacuum is at the very end. By then, the speedy work is done, right? This may seem like a very tedious thing to do, but it's so important to make sure to follow all the steps. Especially with these pieces that we're working with now. Because the pattern that is going to be used at the top of this project, you're going to want to make sure that everything turns out really, really nice and flat, because the laser is going to do all the work. It's not like we have to use by hand like it used to be done just 10 years ago. Not even that, 5 years ago. As you can see, I'm spraying this about 8 to 10 inches away, so I'm getting a nice even amount of moisture on to the piece of the flattening agent, but I'm not getting it so it's so concentrated in the area where it runs. Essentially the idea is just to dampen the surface. But this is going to turn out awesome. So I have 2 pieces here, 2 pieces here. I know that some of this is starting to curl. That's why I know it's very important to start moving as quickly as I can, but not where I'm causing a problem.